Good morning all. Today we are going to have a discussion on some of the key aspects of linguistics. Living in this world among so many people from different cultures and with different languages, we know how important human communication is. One of the major characteristics of human beings is the ability to communicate. We are right if we consider communication as one of the basic needs of human beings, because as social beings we need to have someone to communicate with. We want to express our feelings, we want to share our ideas, and above all we want to have an intimate chat with our friends and family members. For that we form words, we phrase sentences, and in this way people in different parts of the world have developed so many languages of their own. We know that the formation of language and the various aspects, various elements in a language, and also the process of learning a language are very interesting topic for discussion, and today we are going to look at some of these aspects. How did we learn our mother tongue? Once we were babies, yes. Now please think about babies. What is the sole method of communication a newborn baby is aware of? Yes, she cries. When she is hungry, she cries. When she is not well, she cries. When she wants something, she cries. That is the sole method of communication she is aware of. She cries to convey something. And later, slowly, she starts making different sounds. She learns how to smile. She learns how to make different sounds. And we know that children are very active listeners. They have keen interest in knowing the language of their parents and siblings. So they continuously listen to the language they hear in their family. And soon, at a very early age, little babies learn the basic lessons of communication by uttering repeatedly hearing sounds. And when a baby reaches 1 or 2 years of age, she just reproduces the words she hears her parents and siblings are talking. And one of the important things we have to note is that the visual representation of the speech sound is learned much later. That is writing. As a baby, we were aware of sounds, not the form of the sound or the letters. When we reached the age of 4 or 5, we learned the form, the structure of a letter, and that is when we start writing. And before that, language is only sound for us. So we can conclude that the initial impression a language makes in every human being has to do with sound, not with the structure or the form of the letters. So sounds are very important in language. In the study of a language, sounds are very important. So that is why we have to study about phonemes and morphemes in a language. They are the basic elements in a language, and they have to do with sound and also with structure. Both structure and sound is very important from the viewpoint of a language. When we consider a language, phonemes and morphemes are of great importance. Okay, phonemes is the smallest unit of sound in language, and morphemes is the smallest meaningful unit in a language. Both are the smallest unit, but phonemes do not have meaning. Morphemes have meaning. That is the main difference. And a word is made of several phonemes. A phoneme is just a sound, a single sound we utter. So a word, in order to pronounce a word, we are making various sounds. So a word consists of different phonemes, but a morpheme can be a word by itself. And phonemes are studied in phonology, and the study of morphemes are called morphology. And another important thing about phonemes and morphemes is that phonemes are related to the sounds and pronunciation of a language, and morphemes are related to the structure and meaning of the language. And now we are going to an in-depth analysis. Okay, from the word itself, the meaning is clear, I think, from phonemes. The word phone we are familiar with, as in telephone and mobile phone. The phone, it makes a sense of sound. Yeah, when we hear that word, it sounds something. phone is of Greek origin, and that word means a speech sound, and from that the word phonemes originated. And we know about phonology, we have just discussed about that, and it is the study of phonemes, and it deals with the classification of sounds within the system of a particular language. A particular language has different sound units, and in phonology we are studying about these particular sound units. And we are very familiar with phonetics. Definitely we are familiar with phonetics. It is the study of speech sound, but in phonetics we are dealing with the human sounds in general. In phonology we are taking languages as particular units, and in phonetics we study human sounds in general. And also in phonetics we can study about the physical nature of the speech sound. We are phonetically we are aware of the phonetic transcription of letters. Okay, and now we can understand what a phoneme really is. Yes, phonemes are the basic sound units of a language, and they can be called as the smallest unit of speech sound. If I make a sound like T, it's a phoneme. If it is P, it is a sound. It does not have any meaning. It's clear that if I make a sound, a single sound, it does not have any meaning. But we can say that if I say shh, yeah, I'm telling you to keep silent, but it is not the meaning of that sound. We are taking for granted that the meaning of sh sound is to keep silent, or it is a kind of assumed meaning. The meaning of the sound sh is not to keep silent, but it is a sound, but usually we use that sound in this way. So phonemes do not have meaning. And also another important thing is that the number of phonemes is fixed in every language. Number of alphabets are fixed in every language. In the same way, number of phonemes, number of sound units are fixed in every language. We know that in English there is 44 phonemes, and in Malayalam there is 52 phonemes, and in Tamil it is 41 phonemes. And it is said that in one of the Brazilian languages there is only phonemes, and in another language there is more than 100 phonemes. So the number of phonemes vary from language to language, and also a phoneme which is there in one language may not be there in another language. Yeah, we have several examples. Some of the sounds which is there in Malayalam is not there in English. Some of the sounds which is there is in English that we cannot find in Malayalam. And also we know about Arabic and other languages. They have different sound units, different phonemes, and the number of phonemes are fixed. They do not have any meaning, and this is what we have to know about phonemes. Okay, now we are moving on to morphemes. Morphemes, as we have discussed, are the smallest meaningful elements of a language, or the grammatically functional units in a language. A morpheme may have meaning or it may not have meaning, but if a morpheme does not have a meaning, it should have a grammatical function to perform in the language. And there is an important definition of morphemes by Charles F. Hockett. He defined a morpheme as the smallest individually meaningful element in the utterance of a language. He says that it is the smallest element, it carries meaning, and that is the important features of morphemes. And one of the important names associated with the study of morpheme is the name of Leonard Bloomsfield. He was a 20th century American linguist, and he foreshadowed the decade of morphemes. And earlier we know that a word was considered as the basic unit of language, and it was defined as a word was defined as the smallest isolable meaningful element which is indivisible into smaller units. Yeah, words were considered as the smallest isolable meaningful elements, and we cannot divide a word further. That was of previous conception about the language and word. And later, when linguists put forward this concept about morphemes, the total definition changes, because look at this word. We can analyze the word younger. Earlier it was considered as a word. Yes, now also it is a word, but as per the earlier definition, what is this? This is the smallest isolable meaningful element which is indivisible into smaller units. And how can we analyze when we get two parts from this word? Young is a part and ER is a part. And it is said that this is a word and we cannot divide this word further. And look at this word. We can see that there are two parts. Young is there and ER is there. Young is a word, and what is ER then? If this is a word, and what is this? So as per the definition of the word in earliest times, this part does not have any status in language. So it is here the importance of morphemes come, because there are two morphemes in this word young. They are young and ER. Okay, we cannot divide this young further, we cannot divide this ER further. Young is a word, ER is not a word. Young is a morpheme and ER is also a morpheme, and we know that morpheme is a smallest element, smallest meaningful element, and we know that morpheme is the smallest meaningful element in a language. So young is the smallest meaningful element. And what ER is? Yes, here ER has to perform a grammatical function. What is that? Young is a word, and when we are adding ER to this word, we are making this word in comparative degree. Young is a word, and when we are adding this ER, another morpheme, a meaningless but grammatically functional morpheme to this word, we are getting a new word younger, and ER is making young in comparative degree. That is the grammatical function ER has to perform here. Okay, words can be divided into different types as per the number of morphemes they contain. Okay, there are monomorphemic words. From the word itself, it is clear that there is only one morpheme. Okay, they cannot be divided further. Monomorphemic words cannot be divided further. And look at these examples. Beauty is an example, nice is an example, sing, ask, sleep, and several such words as examples for monomorphemic words we have. So these words cannot be divided further. They are monomorphemic word, and in some words we can see two morphemes. In this word, beauty is a morpheme and full is another morpheme. We added two morphemes together in order to make a new word. And nicest, in nicest, nice is a morpheme and st is another morpheme. And in singer, sing is a morpheme, er is another morpheme. And just like that, in asking, ask is a morpheme, ing or ing is another morpheme. So these words contain two morphemes. And three morphemic words are there, just like unconditional or disrespectful. Tell me which are the morphemes here in this word unconditional. Yes, un, condition and al. Three morphemes are there, and in the same way dis and respect and full are the three morphemes in that word. And four morphemic words are there, just like disinterestedness. Dis is a morpheme, interest is another morpheme, ed is another morpheme, ness is another morpheme, and this way four morphemes are there in this word. Okay, and there are different types of morphemes also, and one of the important types of morphemes is free morphemes. They are capable of occurring independently. How many morphemes are there in this word? Independently. Yes, in is a morpheme, dependent, depend is a morpheme, and is a morpheme, li is a morpheme. So these are the morphemes in this word. So free morphemes are capable of occurring independently. Which is the free morpheme in this word independently? Which is capable of occurring independently. In cannot stand independently. End cannot stand independently. Li cannot stand independently. So the free morpheme in this word is depend. Depend is the free morpheme. I think the concept is clear. Just look at this word realized. Real is the only part in this world which can stand alone, which can occur independently, and eyes and ed are two other morphemes in this word, and real is the only free morpheme in this word. Free morphemes are realized as a word by itself. Depend is a word Real is a word. Nation is a word. Play is a word. Walk is a word. L is not a word. Ed is not a word. Ing is not a word. So these morphemes are considered as a word by itself, so they are called free morphemes. And there are some words, they consist of two free morphemes. Words composed of two free morphemes are just like postman. Post is a morpheme, it is a free morpheme. Man is another morpheme, it is free morpheme, it can stand independently, it is a free word, it can stand alone. Post and man, postman, a two morphemic word. Black plus board, blackboard, two free morphemes are there. Goal plus keeper, baby plus sitter, two free morphemes are there in these words. Okay, now we have to analyze what bound morphemes are. Yeah, unlike the free morphemes, bound morphemes cannot stand independently. They want someone to stand with. Must be combined with a free morpheme. A free morpheme should be there as a company for this bound morphemes. Look at these examples, same examples from the earlier slides. National, nation, we know that it is a free morpheme, and L, we have to join this L to this free morpheme in order to make any sense. So national we get. So this part is a bound morpheme. It cannot stand independently, so we are joining this part to a free morpheme and we get a word national. And here play is an independent word. It can stand alone, but ed cannot stand alone. It has to be combined with this free morpheme, and this is free morpheme and this is bound morpheme. And in disordered, this is a bound morpheme and order is a free morpheme. It can stand alone, and ed also cannot stand alone. It has to be combined with this free morpheme order, so we get a word disordered. So bound morphemes cannot stand independently. They have to be combined with another words or free morphemes to get any sense. And we have lexical morphemes with us. Lexical morphemes, from the name itself, it is clear that lexical morphemes are morphemes which have dictionary meaning. Free morphemes have meaning but may not be, their meaning may not be clear, but lexical morphemes have dictionary meaning and accurate meaning. They have no confusion is there. They have clear meaning, and the morphemes, lexical morphemes, make sense. For example, take those words bird, man, flower, cap, table, chair, like that. The meaning is clear. There is no confusion about the meaning of that words, that morphemes. So these kind of words are called lexical morphemes. And another type of morpheme is grammatical morpheme. We are very familiar with these kinds of morphemes, even though we are not aware of the name of these words. Yes, words that function to specify the relationship between one lexical morpheme and another. They don't have clear meaning, but their function is to specify the relationship between one lexical morpheme and another. Look at these examples. There are several types of grammatical morphemes that we use in language in order to make connection with two words, just like at, in, on, and, that, etc. There are several grammatical morphemes in the language, and we know that the meaning of this language, they have meaning, some kind of meaning they have, but it is not clear. To get a clear meaning, we have to use that words, that morphemes between two free morphemes or between other words in a language. So, and we use table and chair in between that free morphemes, table and chair, we are using this and in the same way we use all these grammatical morphemes in order to specify the relationship between free or lexical morphemes. Okay, today we looked at two basic aspects of linguistics. They are phonemes and morphemes. Phonemes, as we said, are the basic unit of language, and morphemes are the basic units of language which carries meaning. This is all for today. Thank you.